Chairman Otten, thank you, Chairman Timothy, as well as the entire committee and staff. We appreciate the opportunity to testify. My comments will be very short and fit within 2 minutes. I wanted to talk about 3 specific items that are in the bill. First, following on to the Secretary's comments about banning private sales. Under the current law, both parties have already been subject to a background check, because the only legal way to do these private sales is between 2 license holding people. Rarely do these private sales involve a person who does not already own a firearm. In those cases where it does, the non-gun owner is almost always a new LTC or FID card holder. Therefore, the background check on that person was performed very recently. This ban only affects legal transactions and law-abiding gun owners. And the point there is that straw purchases where they get transferred to another person is an illegal sale. On issuing FID cards, the reason for obtaining a firearms license is eloquently stated in the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Requiring a further reason is infringement on our constitutionally guaranteed rights. I understand the idea of a person seeking an LTC can, quote, step down to an FID card if the police chief refuses to issue an LTC based on suitability, but in reality there are few, if any, crimes being committed in this way. The phrase, shall not be infringed, should be considered seriously by this committee. Early registration penalty. Proposing a penalty on lawfully licensed gun owners for not applying to renew a license 90 days early is, in my opinion, ridiculous. Try doing that to driver's license holders and see if that flies. The difference here is that driving is a privilege. Owning a firearm is a right. There are provisions in the bill that I support, quite a few, and a few others that I don't. I ask you to present a bill that I can support. As it is currently drafted, I cannot. If you comb through this bill, eliminating the proposals that do not affect criminals, but rather negatively affect lawful gun owners, a bill will emerge that many of us will be able to support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I see a lot of signs here today that say stop gun violence, and there is nothing more that I want to do as a mother of 2 young children than to stop gun violence. Not only for the safety of my children and my family, but of all the families in my district and in the state of Massachusetts. But I do have some concerns with this bill. I think there are some very good provisions in this bill that we do need here in Massachusetts. One of my concerns is that it does strip away the Second Amendment rights of people who are lawful gun owners or want to be lawful gun owners. And I think one provision, several provisions do that, but one that I think is a great concern that does that is the provision that says, you know, if you have committed a misdemeanor crime that is punishable by 1 year in jail, even if you have not served 1 year in jail, that you can no longer be a lawful gun owner and your license can be stripped away from you. And it goes back to the day you were born. So I would be interested to do an exercise here to see how many people have committed some kind of misdemeanor 30, 40 years ago in their youth. This will also affect law enforcement, it will affect military, and it will affect families who just want to protect their loved ones. And let's contrast that with another law that we have here in Massachusetts that's supposed to protect children, but that allows foster parents, people to be foster parents who have committed felony crimes. There's 2 ends of the spectrum there. So here in Massachusetts, we have a deep, rich history that is grounded in the Second Amendment. We are all proud to say that the first shot was fired here, that was heard throughout the world, and that has led to our proud history and has led to America being the great nation that it is. So I want to thank you for your time, thank you for your consideration and your thoughtfulness in hopefully preparing a bill that we all will be able to support and that reaches everyone's goals. Thank you.
just seems that this bill more burdens law-abiding gun owners and people who are trying to own firearms in the legal way. Particularly the section concerning suitability concerns me because when I applied in my city for a license to carry, I was a 24-year-old single full-time nurse working second shift. I had no criminal record and went on to become a legislator. And at that time, I was deemed unsuitable for a license to carry, and I was denied the right to protect myself under the Second Amendment. And so I would just urge the members to consider what the suitability part actually means and what why different things would be up to the discretion of the chief of police. And that's something that I think needs to be addressed, because if I was denied and considered unsuitable, then I would just wonder who's considered suitable. So I thank you for your time, and I hope that we can slow down with this bill and try to draft something that better combats criminal gun activity and gun violence and crime than to just make things harder for law-abiding gun owners.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Committee. This is going to be a very long day for you all, and we appreciate your hard work on this. And as you sit here, I beg of you to sort of sift through the emotion, because there will be a lot of very emotional testimony on both sides of the argument here. And as I know you will, and I know a focus on the facts is what we're all really hopeful that we will come and will be reflected in the final bill that we have. I don't want to belabor the points that Representative Peterson previously made. My view of this bill are largely in line with his, but I have a particular focus on one section of this bill, Section 19. In it, we changed the classification for misdemeanor disqualifiers, currently at 2-year misdemeanors, to a 1-year misdemeanor. And with that change, an individual would lose qualification of a license to carry in perpetuity, and their FID card for a period of 5 years, assuming they are cleared of their charges. Considering that, I just want to take a moment, because I actually went through the entire list of the felony and misdemeanor master crime list produced by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So just so we have an understanding of what someone may have done in the past that will forever prohibit them from having a license to carry in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Escape from a county work release and carry a firearm onto a school grounds. Makes sense? I'm all for that one. That makes perfect sense. But as we go further down the list, bathed in a public water supply, damage a water meter, underground storage tank violation, state building code violation, disclose improper information to the State Ethics Commission. Many of these I would ask for our attention, because many of us may have been guilty of some of these. Not me, of course.
No attorney-client privilege here.
Public employees take a political donation in a public building, flawed accounting for political committee receipts, political ad without sponsor's name, violation of contribution from political action committee, candidate promises a public position, candidate fails to keep contribution lists, failed to properly file campaign finance reports, violation of campaign contribution or expenditure laws, transactions over $50, throw an object at a sporting event, recording of a live performance, hazing, food stamp trafficking under $250, and some of my favorites coming up here, traveling amusement show violations, blasphemy, unlicensed cabaret entertainment, and my personal favorite, the use of exploding golf balls. Now, we can laugh at this, and it's a silly notion, but that just speaks to how serious this really is. Think of a man and woman, Representative Naughton, we all thank you and praise you for your service overseas, but think of some of your colleagues overseas who we give heavy artillery to go fight and protect the sovereignty of our great nation. Yet when they come home, if they are convicted of using an exploding golf ball, whatever that even is, or blaspheme in public, they could forever lose their license to carry in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and lose the right to protect themselves at home. We will have no problem sending them overseas, but when they get home, they lose that right to protect themselves. That is what we are doing in this bill. And that is why I wanted to read through that list, because that is the severity of what we are looking at right here. That dramatic change from 2 years to 1 year is going to affect thousands and thousands and thousands of servicemen and women, police officers. And we all know someone who has done something for a 1 year misdemeanor. I know many people. And that is where I look at this and I ask, where are the statistics that show any correlation of these level of misdemeanors to violent crime? Someone who has an underground storage tank violation is related somehow, is now somehow a criminal in our minds, of someone who could do harm with a gun. That's where we need to just take a step back and really consider what we're talking about here when we make such a dramatic change. Because after the passage of the 1998 gun bill, the number of licensed gun owners dropped from anywhere, the numbers are arguable, 1.2 to 1.5 million, to a low of a little more than 200,000 individuals, largely due to the inclusion of the 2 year misdemeanor qualifier in the original legislation passed in 1998. A further step back to 1 year standard will only further reduce the number of legal gun owners who may have committed one minor violation of the law that has no statistical correlation to violent gun crime. These proposed changes are a clear signal that the intent of this law is not to lower violent gun crime, but rather it is to reduce the greater number of citizens who can legally own a gun in the Commonwealth. According to the Strategy for Reduction of Gun Violence in the Commonwealth report, produced earlier last year, Massachusetts already has one of the lowest rates of household firearm ownership in the country, second only to Hawaii. 13% of the households in Massachusetts report having a gun compared to 33% nationally. Despite this, the nation's toughest gun laws that were passed in 1998 did not reduce crime. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health's very own statistics show that gun-related homicides have increased 100% in Massachusetts since 1998. Nationally, in the same time, gun-related homicides have gone down 40%. The statistics speak for themselves. That is why we need to focus on the statistics and not the emotion. Firearms are the only category of misdemeanor and felonies in this document that took up more than 1 page. Firearms took not 2 pages, but more than 3 pages. We already have passed many, many more laws related to guns than any other regulated category in this document. I say it's time for us to start enforcing those laws before passing new laws for the sake of feeling that we did something to actually combat violent gun crime while we only actually infringe upon the rights of our citizens. I say that because we are faced with a major cultural challenge in America today. We live in a culture of death that is glorified, and we are bombarded with the violence that we see in our movies, produced in Hollywood, and the violence in our video games. We are desensitizing our citizens of the value of life and eliminate any level of accountability and personal responsibility by not holding criminals responsible for their actions through the enforcement of our existing, already toughest in the nation gun laws. Passing more laws that miss the mark on mental health and focus only on the erosion of constitutionally protected rights of law-abiding citizens will not fix this greater societal problem that we all face. So I thank you all very much for taking the time, taking us out of order, and I wish you good luck with the rest of the day. Thank you all very much. Thank you all.
Representative